Good morning, everybody. Here we are in Vicky 3 Academy. I'm Walker, and we're discussing education system laws today. I'm pretty sure that this is the last in the law series in the Vicky 3 Academy, but I'll probably update some of the videos as time goes by. But education system laws, these ones are incredibly important. So first of all, what does it do for you? So it creates an institution. Institutions are some of these things that are going to create like a bureaucracy upkeep in your society. And so like from a macro perspective, you might be shy at doing it, but trust me, virtually all of these are useful. The only institution that like kind of drops off is colonization, and then, you know, like once all the colonization is done, just drop it down to level 1. It's not the end of the world. But education as an institution gets you two things. It gets you well, actually, it gets you different things depending on what level, what you're running. So it's always going to give you some level of education access. Education access is one of these absolutely critical stats. It's going to thank you. It's going to allow your pops to gain literacy. Education access. This is education access. Some of these tooltips are nonsense. But yeah, you can get literacy from your education system. Don't think about a university as getting you literacy, because it doesn't do that. Universities, you see how it just says qualifications and then innovation. So qualifications you can get from literacy, but you can also get qualifications directly from an academy. A university is going to basically be a postgraduate degree or something like that. But education is the thing that teaches people how to read, right? This is where you use reading, but that the education institution is the thing that teaches people how to read. And that's why having any education system at all is so unbelievably important. Like the delta between all these is not as big as you'd think. There are meaningful implications for each of them, but the most meaningful implication for any of them is to have any of them and not no schools. So as soon as you feel like you have the bureaucracy ability to implement an education system, do so. But there are some asterisks. Religious schools you actually can't implement if you still have serfdom. So let's see. Who's a good example of that? Yeah, so we have serfdom here in Russia. We actually can't go into religious schools. See how we must have not separate, total separation or serfdom. So that means that if you're playing a country that starts with serfdom, religious schools off the board. Typically that also means that private schools are going to be hard to get through because you cannot have state religion. And if you start with serfdom, chances are pretty good that you're starting with state religion. And then public schools, you are very, very good, but you have to have invented empiricism. And then you have to, again, not have serfdom. So the requirements in order to do any of these are either to get out of serfdom or to get out of state religion. Either way, you're going to have some kind of fight on your hands in order to get any sort of education system in place. And that fight is going to be with the devout, and their minus 10% penalty for getting them mad is education access. So you might even hurt your literacy short term by trying to fight for education. Just depends. But each of these rules, in addition to having a different assignment of IGs that would normally support it, and keep in mind that the way that IG support is calculated, no schools is going to be really unpopular with a lot of people, and so it's going to be really easy to move into something else. But once you're in something else, then people are going to start having opinions as to which school you're going to use. But religious schools is going to give you a flat education access. It's also going to give you a conversion speed bonus. Conversion is not as important. Well, it's okay, because it's going to, yeah, pops whose religion is discriminated against can convert to an accepted religion. And so if you have a lot of pops that you are discriminated against, then conversion speed out of religious schools is actually fine. And the devout political strength, typically that's okay, because the devout typically are less annoying to have powerful than like the landowners, at least at the beginning of the game. But private schools, because of the wealth education access, is going to outstrip this education access here at 20 wealth level or above. So as long as you can maintain a really high wealth level for your pops, then private schools is just going to educate more than religious schools. Same actually than public schools. It's again 20 wealth level is the break-even point. And then you have intelligentsia as a political strength bonus, and that's typically a good thing to have on any of your texts anywhere in your laws. And then of course we have public schools, which is going to speed up assimilation. Assimilation kind of is like this nebulous question mark in my mind, because assimilation only occurs if the culture is accepted. In other words, they have to be, not being discriminated against in order to become part of the melting pot. That absolutely makes sense. But then the question becomes, what are the ramifications of that? Because they are already accepted when they begin their assimilation, so then they're accepted at the end. It kind of doesn't matter that much. Assimilation is useful if your pops have to leave for whatever reason, like famine or whatever, but generally speaking, assimilation doesn't matter that much, which means that again, I think mostly you're going to be bouncing between these two. If you have public schools, that's fine. Like it does mean that you have a slightly weaker devout, which depending on what you're trying to do might be useful, but I think private schools is going to be the goal for most people, because again, it's not going to be impossible to get your wealth up to 20 or above for most of your pops. At which point every wealth level beyond 20 is going to give you even more extra education, so dramatically increasing stuff for you. Okay, that's Walker, and that's education laws, and I think that's the end of the law system. I don't if there's a law that that I haven't discussed, let me know, but I did just check my folder and everything on the playlist, and I think we got it all. All right, that's Walker. Take care.